Well, what is up, all of our liberty-loving friends? This is another fantastic episode of Good Morning Liberty. My name is Nate Thurston, and fresh off of work release is Mr. Charles Chuck Thompson. How's it going on this beautiful afternoon here in Nashville, Tennessee, Chuck?
Oh, what a day. It's been a good day.
Yeah. Been a good day. We've been hanging out with the Fed Haters Club now for a little bit. Everyone's getting their money's worth today. Tell you what.
To be fair, I kind of lost my voice last week, and yesterday was extremely busy, which is why I actually wanted to do a show yesterday. It just didn't work out timing-wise, so I'm back today. There ain't nothing. Let me tell you this. There ain't nothing that's going to hold me back. All right? Because winners win.
Winners win.
That's just the way it goes.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
He wakes up in the morning and he wins.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Yep.
All right, so I've got a lot
Just a big hairless winning machine.
I've got a lot of stuff here in the stack for us to talk about today. So we will talk. It's mostly good things, just so you know. So don't get too upset. Mostly good things. We will talk about the impending farmer bailout of $12 billion that Trump announced yesterday, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some deregulation. He's talked a little bit about some deregulation that could affect farmers, and then tiny cars. All right. He wants to allow those little Japanese
For tiny hands?
tiny cars to be manufactured and sold in America. And a lot of people started bringing up this much coveted truck called the Toyota Hilux that apparently it's like, you know how, I mean, if you're a guy, you understand this. When you find that perfect stick out on your walk that's like shaped like a sword, or you find that rock that you just know could be used in battle.
Did you say sword?
I did say sword.
I was
Yeah,
like, what?
I did. It's like the Toyota Hilux is like this thing that you just need to have because it just looks great. And I'm going to talk to you about some of the regulations that are going to hold that back and the ways that the government are making that impossible for you to achieve that ultimate goal of having either a tiny Japanese car or a tiny light Japanese pickup truck. And I got a few other things in here. Another good thing he did, he relaxed some of the what they call CAFE standards, some emission standards for vehicles that Biden upped a bunch during his term. And so that's good too. So mainly, like I said, good things that we're going to talk about today. But we do have to start off with a little bit of the bad, which is this bailout for the farmers. Here we go.
Delighted to announce this afternoon that the United States will be taking a small portion of the hundreds of billions of dollars we receive in tariffs. We are making a lot of money from countries that took advantage of us for years. They took advantage of us like nobody's ever seen. Our deficits are way down because of tariffs. I guess because of the election, because without the election, you wouldn't have tariffs. You'd be sitting here losing your shirt. But
I think, by the way, I'm pretty sure he's talking about trade deficits. He can't be talking about U.S. government budget deficits, but
No, because those are going up.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to assume that he's talking about trade deficits in this video.
we're taking in billions. We're really taking in trillions of dollars, if you think about it, Scott, because the real numbers, when you think of all the money being poured into the country for new auto plants and all of the other things, AI. So what we're doing is we're taking a relatively small portion of that, and we're going to be giving and providing it to the farmers in economic assistance. And we love our farmers, and as you know, the farmers like me, because based on voting trends, you could call it voting trends or anything else, but they're great people. They're the backbone of our country. So we're going to use that money to provide $12 billion in economic assistance to American farmers. $12 billion is a lot of money, Merrill. What do you think? Peanuts for you, though, right? Peanuts. She's a farmer of rice. This relief will provide much-needed certainty to farmers as they get this year's harvest to market and look ahead to next year's crops. And it'll help them continue.
Yeah, I do have to point out, as he did say there, and as I think maybe Michael Scarn said in the group, he said, well, if it wouldn't have been for the election, he wouldn't have had tariffs. Biden kept all of Trump's tariffs and actually added on more tariffs during his tenure. But Trump, he came in and said, hold my beer, and added in a bunch of new tariffs too.
And then took them away.
Yeah.
And then
they're back.
Well, he announced, I'm going to add these tariffs, and then he took them away, and then he announced again he was going to do it, and then he took them away, and then I think a few of them stuck.
Yeah, we've got quite a few still that have stuck around. So White House announces $12 billion farmer bailout package. So one of the things that happened here was China retaliated by not buying U.S. soybeans. And like half of our soybean exports go to China on a normal year. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to get any of those. So
half are marked for China beans.
Yeah. So that affected the market, that affected the prices for our soybeans, which of course hurts farmers and not just soybeans, a lot of other grains as well. And then,
well, I think, and to understand this, you have to understand a little bit about the economics of farming. It's not like you don't go out and pick some soybeans and then you like package it up and then you like send it to an address in China. That's not how it works.
No,
so
not typically.
I think educate the folks a little bit about contracts and futures. And
I don't know anything about farming. I don't know anyone that knows anything about farming.
Oh, okay.
At all. Is my brother in the group right now? Let me see.
I guess your family is not going to benefit at all, huh?
He's in here right now. Yeah, they might get a little bit of that. So
I just think it helps people understand a little bit about the situation.
So even though they are buying now, what happened is a lot of people have sold a bunch of their soybeans at much reduced prices and have missed out on a bunch of money as a result of the trade war. You also sell a lot.
What he means by that is you sell before it's actually time to sell.
You can. There would be people who will do contracts beforehand. Like my family does some contracts beforehand. You don't do all of them under contract because if the price happens to go up, then you miss out on that. You might do some of them just to lock in a certain amount of income for yourself, and then you'll sell the rest of them out on the open market afterwards. So
you want to diversify your portfolio.
Yeah, because you don't want to miss that the market goes up a bunch and you're already getting filled. You're just stuck getting filled with all these lower price contracts. So they'll take some, fulfill the contracts. They'll take some and sell it at the market, or they take some and put it in their grain bins and wait for the market to go up. And a lot of people missed out on a bunch of money. And not just that, like with other tariffs and also the Russia-Ukraine war, which caused some issues, like farmers have had to deal with a lot of increased prices. Fertilizer has gone up a ton. And you got, like, I know some people don't like fertilizer or whatever, some of these chemicals, but okay, well, if you didn't have that, then the yield would go way down per acre, and then the price would go up a bunch for all of your food, and we wouldn't have enough food to feed everyone. So those chemicals are pretty important for increasing the yield on people's crops, and fertilizer has gone up a ton. It's been helpful, I think, that diesel's gone down a bunch. And so that's good. Diesel's a big expense. You know, when you're driving a factory through a field, which is like what a combine is, that can cost you a lot of money. But overall, yeah, been a little tough for some farmers, and some have been fine.
Never know how much diesel that clunker pumps out an hour.
It's a lot.
Oh.
It's a lot. Now, what's annoying about this is, of course, you're really giving people some of their money back to them when you do this. Like, you cause them to lose money, or you cause them to have to pay higher prices for things. And then you're probably not going to make them completely whole, but you're going to give them a little bit of that money back and then say, I'm helping. After you do that, after you cause the thing to happen in the first place.
It's literally like I broke your leg and I'm really sorry. Here's some crutches.
Here's some crutches. You'd say, thank you for the crutches. Where would you be if you didn't have me to give you those crutches?
Like, I wish you wouldn't have broke my leg in the first place.
Broke my legs. That's kind of an issue, So let's see. I think, as Clark said in the group, I'm pretty sure China is back to buying some soybeans. I did read an article that they're back to buying some of our grain, that they got to some kind of deal. There's a couple important things here. Let me get to it. The administration drew the $12 billion from a USDA fund using taxpayer dollars, even though the president repeatedly said during the roundtable that the bailout was funded by tariffs. So just to be clear, yeah, we've got other money coming in from the tariffs, but this is coming from the USDA fund, which is funded by taxpayers, which, tariffs are funded by taxpayers and people who buy products as well. But there's not like a bank account that says tariffs in it. And they said, well, let's draw the $12 billion off of the tariff account. This is actually just coming out of the USDA account that they would have otherwise used for other things, which, we'll just eventually take some of that tariff money and put it back in the USDA account. It all goes in the same general fund, Let's see. Lawmakers and agriculture officials expect more bailout announcements to come in 2026. Trump said further aid depends where we go with trade negotiations. Up to $11 billion of the package will be allocated to producers of major row crops like corn, soybeans, wheat, rice, and cotton, according to one White House official who was granted anonymity. The remaining money will be reserved for growers of fruits, vegetables, and other so-called specialty crops, following last-minute lobbying from agriculture groups and lawmakers asking for a carve-out. Probably people, I don't even know if they were affected. But,
from the fruit lobby,
it would be unfair to not give it to other people. That fruit lobby.
Yeah.
That's who's actually running the show. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's them apple knockers, man. All right. Let's get
Georgia peaches.
But there were a couple other good things when he's talking about farmers. I'll play this one, and then I've got a couple deregulation things.
Maximizing domestic farm production is a big part of how we will make America affordable again and bring down grocery prices for American families. And again, these are prices that we inherited. When I left, we were doing incredible. In 4 years, what they've done to this country and so many, and not even mentioning the border and the criminals allowed into our country and all of the other. So I just want to say it's a.
And when he talks about maximizing the farming output or whatever, however he said it, I like a few of the things I've heard through some of these press conferences we're going to play today. What he just talked about was increasing the available supply of goods. There are goods that are very expensive, and they keep going up in price. And what he's talking about are ways that we're going to increase the available supply of those goods. That's a good thing. Supply and demand, that's what dictates where prices go. So I agree with that. And he says we inherited this problem. Mostly true. Mostly. I mean, inflation's at 3% right now. That's still technically 50% above where the Fed wants the inflation rate to be. But something I wish they would say sometime is the people that are upset about affordability right now are not upset that prices on average went up 3% this year. They're upset that they've gone up 25% over the last 4 years. That's what they're mad about.
Or more.
Or more than that. Probably actually more than that. And so they can turn this into a win. Like, yeah, it's 3%. We're going to keep working on getting it down. It's better to go up there. Anyone listening right now wants some advice when you're talking to people who can smell BS for a living. That's what they do. Go up there and tell the truth. Instead of just acting like everything you're doing is perfect all the time. You know what people really like to hear is, yeah, inflation's 3%. That's 50% above the target rate. Too late Powell needs to do, whatever you want to say about Jerome Powell, add that in there too. And then say, but that's not what people are upset about. 3%, wages are outpacing the inflation right now, but we went through 4 years of wages not outpacing the inflation. People aren't upset about 3%. They're upset about plus 25% or more over the last 4 years. And so we got a lot of work to do. We're not there yet. Don't be like, oh, everything's fine. This is a Democrat con job talking about affordability. No, it's still their fault. Bring it up.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but Trump also signed the biggest spending bill at the time, 2020.
Yeah.
Which also led to inflation. You just didn't feel it at that time. You didn't feel it until Biden got in there. And then Biden made it worse. That is true. But there is shared responsibility there. We talked about this. By the way, was it the CARES Act? What came out under Trump?
CARES Act, yeah.
Yeah. When the CARES Act came out, I remember specifically talking on this podcast multiple times about how it's the worst idea ever. The worst. And that you're not going to feel it today and you're going to be happy with your little $1,200 stimmy check or what is it? It ended up being like $2,500 total, and everybody was happy about all the
I don't remember
unemployment
what
they
it
were
was.
getting, and people were living high off the hog, and Trump was still in office, and you didn't really feel the effects until the next year. Biden made it worse, and then everybody's can't afford something. We talked about that multiple times on this show. You all were informed and knew what was happening. And Trump is partly to blame for this, for signing that bill, but also rallying Congress to pass something like that. And it always feels good in the moment.
We had to do something, Charlie.
If you snort some heroin or something, it's going to feel good in the moment.
It's the best decision you can make right then.
You inject it, just instantaneous. You feel great.
Mm-hmm.
But that chicken's going to come home to
It
roost.
doesn't have to be heroin. It could be like something like hydromorphone or something.
It could be.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to go straight to heroin. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
You
Come on.
could hydrocodone,
Anything like
oxycodone,
that. Anything like that. Yeah. It just makes you feel great.
Adderall, cocaine,
Invincible.
methamphetamines.
Hey, we had a farmer here in the group. Sorry, just to put an end to that. We had a farmer here in the group say most equipment reliability issues are due to emission systems. Most common breakdown is DEF system related, and like the whole diesel exhaust. I don't even know what that is. I think that's just to make you buy those things at gas stations. Like, I don't even know what that is. They need to get rid of the insane emissions regulations on farm equipment. All right, well, let's hear from Trump.
The other thing I'd like to add before going to Scott, and I think it's very important, we're going to also give the tractor companies, John Deere and all of the companies that make the equipment, we're going to take off a lot of the environmental restrictions that they have on machinery. It's ridiculous. I know because I buy a lot of that machinery for different things. We have a lot of big clubs with, hundreds, thousands of acres. And I buy a lot of stuff, and you buy it, it's got so much equipment on it for the environmental, it doesn't do anything, except it makes the equipment much more expensive and much more complicated to work, and it's not as good as the old days. And we're going to take a lot of that nonsense off of the equipment, which is going to reduce, and we're going to do it, and we're going to say you're going to reduce the prices. We're not going to do it and they're not going to reduce. They're going to have to reduce their prices because farming equipment has gotten too expensive. And a lot of the reason is because they put these environmental excesses on the equipment, which don't do a damn thing except make it complicated, make it impractical. And you really have to be, in many cases, you need about 185 IQ to turn on a lawnmower now. So we're going to take that off, that crap off that they put on Biden mostly. And we're going to take that off. So that's going to make that'll bring down the equipment prices a lot.
Biden in there
And
somehow.
we're going to do that immediately. You're going to work with Lee Zeldin, who's not here. He's doing a fantastic job. And Lee is going to work that out. And that would be most of it. It's crazy. The machines, they're always under repair because they're so complicated that you can't fix them. The old days you used to fix it yourself. Now you can't do that. You have to be a PhD from, let's say, MIT. Okay, so
Like Thomas Massey.
Yeah, like Thomas Massey.
He had to get Biden in there, and in my head, I immediately just saw Biden was the one who was like putting these systems on the
Actually,
tractors.
he's got his sunglasses on, his aviators.
He wasn't in the White House. We
Yeah.
couldn't find him. Well, he was adding these DEF systems onto the combines in America, traveling around. Oh, that's what I envisioned.
Okay, so we have a farmer here in the group who says that one of the biggest issues they have with the equipment is that all these environmental nonsenses that Biden put on those tractors causes all the equipment breakdowns. And it's true, these newfangled contraptions, they've made them where you can't even work on them anymore. You got to call someone from the dealership to come do it. In fact, it could even be illegal. I'm not even sure if you can work on it on your own,
You get slapped with fines from the EPA.
But overall, this is a good thing. Of course, things like that add to the expense of the tractor.
One thing he said that was not good, he said we're going to make them lower the prices too.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
No.
Now, obviously that's going to allow competition to come in, which makes prices cheaper. That's how you lower prices. You remove the barriers, which are these regulations, so that it's easier for people to come into the market and create products and services for people. And the more competition you have, the cheaper the things get, because everyone's looking for a scarce amount of business. And so if you have products and services that are very similar, the person who's the cheapest is usually going to win. Usually.
Yeah.
That's why Walmart is the number one grocery store in America.
So this is a good thing. I support these moves other than the bailout. It's not that some of these farmers don't deserve a bailout. I mean, we all deserve. You know what we deserve is for the extra money we paid in taxes to be given back to us. And what we've done is we've designated some groups as deserving of their extra money they paid because of taxes to be given back to them. And then other people got to still pay the extra money. And so that's frustrating. But the other stuff, that's a good thing. Deregulation, that's great for the farmers, and ultimately that's great for everyone, because without the farmers, we ain't going to eat anything. That's just kind of the way it goes, okay? All right, next thing. This one has to do with emissions as well. And the CAFE standards, which is corporate. Yeah, I was going to write this down. I forgot. I was like, I'll remember that when I get to the show. Fuel efficiency. There's a corporate average fuel efficiency.
There you go.
Boom. Nailed it. Okay. So CAFE standards, he announced that they're going to be reducing those. It's a good thing. We talked about this when Biden did it. It was clearly going to lead to higher prices. It clearly led to automakers deciding to produce different cars, especially pushing them towards EVs. I'll go ahead and say it now while I'm thinking about it. It led to them having to open up a bunch of new battery plants to support their EV productions. But guess what? They didn't have the money to invest for the battery plants. So then the taxpayers gave them money to invest in battery plants via the Inflation Reduction Act. So it just ended up costing taxpayers a bunch of money, and a bunch of them weren't going to buy EVs in the first place. So anyways, big mess. Here's Trump's announcement on that.
Today, my administration is taking historic action to lower costs for American consumers, protect American auto jobs, and make buying a car much more affordable for countless American families, and also safer. We're officially terminating Joe Biden's ridiculously burdensome, horrible, actually, CAFE standards that imposed expensive restrictions and all sorts of problems, gave all sorts of problems to automakers. And we're not only talking about here, we're talking about outside of our country, because nobody could do it. Nobody wanted to do it, and it was ridiculous, very expensive. It put tremendous upward pressure on car prices. Combined with the insane electric vehicle mandate, Biden's burdensome regulations helped cause the price of cars to soar more than 25%. And in one case, they went up 18% in 1 year. Today, we're taking one more step to kill the Green New Scam as part of the greatest scam, probably, well, other than Russia, and a few others I could name. The greatest scam in American history, the Green New Scam, and it's a quest to end the gasoline-powered car. This is what they wanted to do, even though we have more gasoline than any other country by far. And people want the gasoline car. They want everything. They want electric. They want to have lots of alternatives, but they do want the gasoline car. Right now, it's leading away by a lot. The car business is a very interesting business, but we want to keep it that way.
You got to give him credit. Give the man credit.
Giving him credit.
The way he describes things, Green New Scam. He says the largest scam in American history. Well, almost, besides the Russia. He just finds ways to weave these things in. And it's a hell of a job of marketing and storytelling. He might be the best at it.
He's good. There's a reason he's president again.
Yeah.
These are all good things. What I like here is that we're putting a lot of emphasis on things that really matter to everyone right now. And it's difficult to get Congress to go pass a law to reduce government restrictions on the manufacturing of so many of these things, or environmental regulations or standards, stuff like that, or to get rid of the EPA or whatever. But anything he can do to reduce regulations, that's a good thing. Regulations just impose a cost. That's what they always do. And so he's focusing on affordability, even though he wants to come out and say this affordability thing is a Democrat con job or whatever. They're focusing on affordability. They're doing press conferences, and they're talking about things that they're actually going to do that can lead to lower prices for people, and that's good.
And that actually will lead to lower prices, cutting regulations. It is true. Cars have gotten wildly expensive.
Yeah.
Have you looked into buying a new car?
I looked at it. We talked about it not too long ago. The average is around $50K. Now we talked about it then. I don't know if that means the average of what all the cars that are sold, that's what it is, or the average of all the cars that are on the market. Because just because there's a bunch of expensive cars that are on the market doesn't mean that that's what people are, actually buying. I want to know the average of what people are actually buying. But the statistic that's everywhere is 50K,
It's insane.
Which is nuts.
You remember when you were a kid? Do you remember?
Sometimes.
You were a kid.
Yeah, I was a kid.
And back then, like a really expensive car, was like $100,000. You're thinking like Ferrari, it was 150 grand.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't wait, to do that one day. And as I got older, I was like, well, not me anymore because I'm too big to fit in one of those things. But it doesn't change the price, And then I really like trucks because I'm a bigger guy, and I enjoy my truck. I don't do a whole lot of farming or anything like that, but it comes in handy when we got to move stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, I remember when I started driving, like a good expensive truck was like $30,000. And I remember my first truck I got was it was used. So I think I got it for like 20. And then I got my dream truck, which was about 50, that was prior to COVID, 2019, I believe. Maybe it was 2020. Maybe it was during COVID before the prices jumped. But I'm looking today at I'm looking at Jeeps and trucks and things. It's $100,000.
Yeah. Easy.
It's $100,000 to get the same truck I got. I bought this thing. Well, the one I had wrecked, so I had to buy a new one, or I bought a used one in 2020 or 2021. But yeah, $100,000. That was 4 years ago. It was half of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Ferrari price.
Pretty crazy. That's what we're looking at right now.
It's insane. It's not just a little crazy. It's insane.
I agree with you.
And then Trump's up there being like, best economy ever, which is what he was saying a few weeks ago. Now, I'll give him some credit. I missed a couple weeks and things like that. Seems like maybe the ship is turning a little bit and they're going to reduce some regulations and do some of the things he promised to do, which is good. And that's the thing with Trump. And that's the thing with this show. We have to give Trump credit when he does something good, and we have to dog on him when he does something bad. And it seems as if our fans really like when we praise him. And then some of our fans don't like that we tell the truth when he does things that are, let's just say, retarded.
Just to put it lightly.
Okay,
the cafe.
I'm done now.
The cafe standards, by the way. So those are about efficiency improvements, fuel efficiency improvements. And the goal there was to get the average, like what your company was selling, the average mile per gallon. It needed to be 50 miles per gallon by 2031 of the average vehicles that you were selling. Now, that's pretty difficult. Like I got a Honda Accord, and like on a nice, straight, flat interstate, that thing gets like maybe 38, something like that. And it's fairly, it's not new, but it's not super old or anything. A truck ain't going to be getting that much.
My understanding is it's actually not that difficult.
Yeah.
From what I understand from people way smarter than me is that we have the technology to make cars that can go 100 miles a gallon if we wanted to.
Sure.
We just don't do it.
But come at a cost. Yeah.
We don't do it because of the oil industry and the influence they have. Now, this came from people who worked on race cars. That's what they said. I haven't verified that. They're really smart people. One of the guys, he built engines. Like that's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And that was his angle on it. Whether or not that's true, I think we're pretty advanced as a society. We probably could create some additional efficiencies than it not really cost more money to do.
Well, they came up with a thing. The way to fix that was they just had your car turn itself off when you stopped at a stop sign.
God, that's the most annoying thing.
And so if this...
Thank God my truck does not do that.
If this puts an end to that, which my car doesn't have that, I would never allow that. I would have that removed.
I've rented a few cars that do that. I turn it off every time.
Does anyone like that?
I turn it off every time.
I don't even know. Yeah, I can't stand that. But that's
I
one
feel
way,
like
you know.
Starting your car uses more gas than just like keeping it running.
You get really bad miles per gallon while you're sitting there doing nothing because you're traveling nowhere. And so your car is still moving at a certain rotations per minute, but you're not going anywhere. So your miles per gallon are really, really bad.
Oh, so they
You
shut
get
it
about
off.
0 miles per gallon at that time.
So they shut it off.
And so they turn it off so the computer doesn't pick up your 0 miles a gallon that you're getting at that time. Yeah, there was a lot of penalties and stuff for non-compliance with this. And what it eventually did was it pushed companies to manufacturing more EVs than they wanted to, getting into a situation where they're losing money on EVs and spending a ton of money on trying to create these EVs and the battery plants and all that. And what do? They got to get those expenses from somewhere, and they got it two ways. They got it from the prices they were charging them from their other products, you know, because people are still buying those. And then also they turned around and got money from the taxpayers, subsidies from the taxpayers with the Inflation Reduction Act to go build a bunch of battery plants, stuff like that, purely because they needed to get their average up to that 50 miles per gallon. Like, these people don't care. They just want to sell cars. They just want to sell cars that people want to buy. When the government puts an arbitrary minimum on your company and is going to charge you an insane amount, like it ended up being, it would be $140 per mile per gallon that your average was off. So like if your average is at 40, you know, and you're talking about $1,500, $1,400 for every car that your company sells is what you would have to pay as a fee by this time. So like, okay, there's an incentive for the move towards this, but it's going to cost people a lot of money on the back end. And so I hope, as I'll mention later, like, I hope this is going to help. One of the issues is that we're dealing with regulations that one presidential administration put on, and now one presidential administration is taking off. And as someone running a car company, you'll be like, well, is the next presidential administration just going to put that back on? Because if so, we ought to just keep moving in the same direction we're moving right now. Maybe we can throw in some cheaper models too that aren't as great with the fuel efficiency for people to buy. But I got to make sure I'm pushing towards that 50 because, you know, Gavin Newsom's going to come in here and we'll only have like 10 years left of being able to sell combustion engines anyway. And so we got to make hay while the sun's shining, kind of thing.
On the farm.
Yeah, that's what they say. All right, next thing.
With my deregulated tractor.
Yep. He's talking about these. Now this post is incorrect, which led to some improper speculation about the great things that this announcement would lead to. What he's talking about in this clip here is that he went to Japan and South Korea and he saw these little bitty, tiny little cars. Just the smallest little, cutest little cars you ever saw. Okay. And he wants us to be able to get those tiny cars here in America, which I agree with. They're much cheaper, way cheaper. Wouldn't work for everyone because they don't go super fast. Not a lot of pickup, you know.
In the pickup.
It's not much really at all. Wildly emasculating, like probably why they have such a bad like depopulation problem in Japan, I would say, is if you saw a guy driving that car, you were like, oh, that's not going to work, huh?
They got a Briggs and Stratton lawnmower motor under the hood.
Start it like this.
You pull to start.
So anyhow, here's an
those
announcement.
little engines are good though. Only 24 horsepower, but
Yeah, I got a pressure washer with a Briggs and Stratton motor in that thing, man.
yeah,
That thing has done. I probably put 1,000 hours on that thing, and
running strong.
I can't start it anymore because I tore my shoulder. But it still technically works. Oh, that's Tim Pool. We're not going to talk about that today. Here's this announcement.
I just left, and if you go to South Korea and Malaysia and other countries, they have a very small car, sort of like the Beetle used to be with the Volkswagen. They're very small. They're really cute. And I said, how would that do in this country? And everyone seems to think good, but you're not allowed to build them. And I've authorized the secretary to immediately approve the production of those cars. So you'll be able to buy they really are, they're actually, some of them are really beautiful, actually. if you take a look, Honda, some of the Japanese companies do a beautiful job, but we're not allowed to make them in this country, and I think you're going to do very well with those cars. So we're going to approve those cars. Would you like to say something about that?
Well, no, just that he never stops working. So even when he's on Asian time, he's calling me at midnight in the States. But he gave me the directive to clear the regulations on this, which we have. And so if Toyota or any other company wants to make smaller, more affordable cars, fuel efficient, we have cleared the deck so they can make them in America and sell them in America.
Now, I regret to inform you that was the first time this dude had heard anything about that. And so he's sort of made that up. The regulatory environment around this is insanely complicated. Now, what they may have done is cleared all the regulations to allow companies to manufacture these. It's very difficult to figure out what exactly they can manufacture. Like, you can manufacture something that you can't technically sell for use on a public road, but they have limits on how many you can manufacture because of the emission standards, things like that. And so it would be fairly easy to clear the deck, as he said, and allow companies to manufacture these. But they're not going to manufacture a bunch of them because no one's allowed to sell them. And they're not legal to drive on public roads in America. Our insurance companies would not cover them. I mean, they write a policy for it or whatever. You can't buy these. You can't drive them. They're not legal to drive. Emission standards and safety standards say that you can't do it. And that sucks because...
Man, when I was in high school, though, my grandma had this little tiny Zuzu truck or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember those things.
Remember that little... It had 3 seats, but you can only fit like 2 people in there.
Was it like a Suzuki or something? Or
no, it was like
a Zuzu? Is that what it is? That
Zuzu?
does sound like a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does
that
sound
little
like
thing
a thing.
It was a 5-speed. It was fun to drive.
Yeah.
It was smaller than an S10. It looked like these little Toyota Hilux. Little meow, meow, meow.
Yeah.
That was smaller than that, actually. That wasn't it. No, that's too big.
So this announcement led to a lot of speculation online that because of the way this specific post was worded, which had millions of views on it, this specific post says President Trump announces that he approves the production of an ultralight compact truck, which wasn't previously allowed in America due to government overreach. Now, that led to people speculating that it's finally time for us to get the Toyota Hilux Champ. Dang it, I misspelled Helix in the name of this episode. I'll figure that out sometime. Said that will soon be on the American market. Light-duty basic pickup truck that will likely sell for less than $20,000. Until today, U.S. regulations made it impossible to sell in our market.
That thing looks pretty cool. I'll tell you what.
No,
man.
I mean, they're called. I got this. Here's the video. And listen, for the females listening right now, it's not your fault. You just don't get it.
That thing looks pretty cool, man.
I love my car. It's comfortable. Got all the stuff I need. But I need this truck for something.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It looks like a grown-up side-by-side.
This is a side-by-side.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool. That'd be a great work truck. I bet you could harvest soybeans with that thing. Oh, it's got like the FJ Cruiser front end.
Yeah, it looks
on
like an FJ.
Why is it whistling at us? That sounds like a tractor.
Well, it's a diesel. Sounds like a four-wheeler or something.
Sounds like a side-by-side. That thing's cool. Wow, that thing's really cool.
Yeah, it is. It would be cool. Now, it'd be nice, like, first off, if we could just order this thing from Toyota, but we can't. And I regret to inform you that we can't. And so for them to be able to sell this to us in America, really, what they'd have to do is they got to build plants to manufacture this in America. Now, they're probably not going to do that because regardless of how excited we are about this, there's not a massive market for these things because there's already smaller trucks. They sell the Tacoma.
I mean, there's a market now after seeing that video.
Yeah, there is now. But
I'd get one.
There's a lot of movement that would have to happen. You would have to build plants, and then you'd also have to make the bet that the next presidential administration would not come in and just make them illegal again afterwards because of their...
Now, why are they illegal?
Well, there's a couple things. The number one thing is safety. That's the biggest problem, okay? And especially for those tiny cars. The other main reason you can't get this here Helix is because of something called the chicken tax. You ever heard of that?
No.
Chicken tax? Well,
No.
good. Here you go. Let's talk about the chicken tax real quick.
Okay.
This is from Investopedia. They had a nice little write-up on it. How about the origins of the chicken tax? The chicken tax, by the way, is a tariff that we have in law that adds a 25% cost to the import of light trucks. Okay, so 25% cost added on top. This talks about how basically we got out ahead, got a jump on farming versus Europe, and our chicken was a lot cheaper than the chicken you could get from Europe immediately following World War II. So a lot of those countries out there, France, UK, all them, were buying American chicken. Okay. Well, they decided that those countries decided they did not want their people to buy this cheap American chicken. They wanted their people to buy the more expensive European chicken. And so what did they do? Like any tyrannical government would do, trying to protect its own workforce, I guess, is they added I think they added the big did they actually block it or they do price controls? Sorry, I was just trying to do that off the top of my head. Early 1962, businesses, France and Germany had imposed tariffs and price controls on U.S. chickens. Early 1962, U.S. businesses complained of losing sales. At the end of the year, they estimated they lost 25% of their sales due to European intervention in the chicken market. European and U.S. diplomats tried without success through 1963 to reach a trade agreement on said chicken. And, okay, you might be thinking, okay, so I can't get the Toyota Helix? What is the chicken tax?
Well, this is why.
Okay.
This is the effect your government has on
I know.
your freedom.
Meanwhile, the American auto industry was suffering a trade crisis of its own. Imports of Volkswagen cars surged in the early 60s as Americans embraced the Beetle, drugs, and its cousin, the Type 2 van.
The cute little cars.
The cutest little cars you ever did see.
Some of them very beautiful, I might add.
The situation was dire enough that U.S. automakers and the United Auto Workers Union brought the issue of German auto imports to the presidential bargaining table.
We can't compete.
No.
Do something.
This is one of the main reasons why I can't get that there Toyota Hilux that you want. The UAW, a union, had significant leverage. At the time, President Johnson had been trying to persuade the president of the UAW not to call a strike just before the 1964 election. So what happened? Collusion, corruption. That's what happened. The president also wanted union support for his civil rights agenda. He got what he wanted in return for including light trucks in the chicken tax. Volkswagen sales of trucks and vans in the U.S. plummeted.
Jeez.
So in this here chicken tax was included light trucks, 25% tax on potato starch, 25% on dextrin.
By the way, when they say
don't know what
tax,
that
that's actually, is it an actual tax or
It's
tariff?
a tariff. It's a tariff. It's an import tax.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And a 25% tax on brandy, aimed at, I don't know who Brandy is, but they did not want
Never heard of her.
coming over here at all. Now, what's
Any
interesting?
girl named Brandy.
What's interesting?
For all you guys getting mail order brides out there,
Yeah.
if you order a Brandy, that's an extra 25%.
Pay your taxes, Brandy. Now, what you may have noticed is that all those other taxes, those specific imports, they're gone. And so the only tax left over from said chicken tax is the tax on light trucks. That, of course, is still called the chicken tax. Now, the problem is this is actually written into law. This was not an executive order. This is not LBJ just being crazy. This is actually written into law. And to end the chicken tax, you'd have to go to Congress. It would take an act of Congress to get rid of this here tax. And so they're not going to do that. That's not what's going to happen. Some interesting things have happened for people to get around this, even like domestic manufacturers like
can't
Ford.
they just sell it though? Can't they just sell it and people pay the 25% premium?
Well, I still can't sell most of these things because of the safety standards and the emission standards. Still can't do that. This is just the chicken tax is one important part of why you're not going to get these cheaper vehicles. But the U.S. government has set up many different layers of reasons that you're not allowed to buy cheaper vehicles like people in other countries are. And that is to protect the domestic auto industry from competition is the main reason. So one thing that they've done, by the way, those domestic
this is
auto...
how, by the way, this is how free you are in
Yeah.
America.
So free.
This is your freedom at work.
There's a famous example of Ford to get around this. So even like vans were included. Passenger, like these vans, so they would not passenger vans. So if they were like if it's a work van, which is like a truck with a full body on it basically, well that gets the 25% chicken tax. So what they would do is they would actually ship the vehicle from Turkey, where it was being it's confusing, it's a chicken tax, they're shipping it from Turkey. You guys get the thing. They shipped it with glass and passenger seats in it. So it was shipped over as a passenger vehicle.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it landed...
That was on the Falcon boat.
Yeah. As soon as it landed in Emu, California, right off the boat, they would strip it of the glass, the seats, they would weld on plates over where the windows went, and they would use it as a utility van.
Take out the ostrich feathers.
Pull it straight out of there. And so... that's a good example of that happening. There's
Get rid
also
of the ducks.
There's other examples of them shipping over trucks with no beds. So it's not a truck. There's no bed on it. It's just a vehicle. It's a chassis with a front end on it.
Just a cab.
The bed is sold separately. Like at the bottom, you check to see if the batteries are included. Some of these trucks, you'd have to check and make sure that the bed was included with the truck. But if it was coming from overseas and it was light truck, they ship it without the bed. You got to buy the bed separately. The bed could come over too at a 2.5% tax rate because that bed is also not a truck. It's just a bed.
Yeah.
So you have a guy put those two things together for you.
Insert the batteries and you're good to go.
And this is why you can't get the Toyota Hilux. Just so you guys know.
Bailey says, what in the Temu is going on?
Let's see.
Well, it's kind of like them AR-15s, man. You buy a barrel. And you buy a stock, and you buy a trigger. Though all those things separately is not a gun.
Nope.
But put them together.
And you lose it in the boating accident.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Let me see. You're not. I'm going to this article. I've got a couple things before we get out of here. You're not allowed to buy them, the president said, which isn't exactly true. The manufacturers, Toyota, for instance, could build them here. There's nothing illegal about that. The illegality occur when a manufacturer of a non-compliant vehicle, a vehicle that does not meet every single federal motor vehicle safety standard and federal emissions requirement, offers it for sale. Specifically, offers it for sale for use on what are styled public, meaning government-owned, roads. It is legal to buy vehicles like the Roxor. I don't know what that is. They say it looks like an original World War II era Jeep, what are called side-by-sides, like Can-Ams. You ever been on one of those things? But they are only legal for off-road use.
That's not true. You can make them street legal.
I mean, yeah, I'm driving them on the road, Well, you got to make them street legal. It's the thing. These trucks ain't going to be street legal.
Yeah, but there's like literally a couple things you have to do. You have to get a license plate, make sure they have the mirrors. Make sure they have the brake lights and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's not hard.
Yeah. A lot of stuff.
Okay.
The other issue that they're going to run into with this is that while this truck is pretty cheap all around the world, it would not be cheap if it were manufactured in America. That just wouldn't be the case. So then you're going to get this little bitty truck that doesn't have the power that you're used to. That's actually going to be like just a little bit cheaper than like a bigger truck. I know. I hear that up there. I don't know what's going on. It's interesting. So I got another one here when it comes to the tiny cars. Now, I'm not interested in these tiny cars whatsoever. I don't care about those little bitty things. They look super dangerous. I've seen videos of what happens after they crash or when they crash. Doesn't look good to me. But they're going to be good on fuel efficiency. They're going to be way cheaper. And maybe if you live in a dense area, you don't got to drive it real far for any long road trips or anything, maybe you're interested in these tiny cars. Maybe having those tiny cars on the market would, in fact, give just a little bit more competition, something that those other cars have to compete with, and that'd be a good thing. Problem is, these are very far away from being safe enough to be driven on U.S. roads. So there's actually states that just have them outright banned still already, because you can get them if they're more than 25 years old. That's like a collector's carve out for these things. I'm just telling, like, okay, Trump is going to talk about how we're going to deregulate and do these things. This is a massive ordeal that has to happen. And then you got to plan on the next administration not doing it too. And these are all the things the government has done to make things just more expensive, just at all times. Okay. Imported varieties of these tiny cars have been the target of regulatory backlash on the state level, with Georgia, Oregon, Vermont, and other states banning their registration outright under the guise of lacking proper safety features. But the kind of changes that President Trump... So are you telling me you can drive a motorcycle? Okay.
No seatbelt.
No seatbelt. Maybe they say you got to wear... What if you got to wear a helmet in your tiny car? Then can you drive them on the road? Is that okay?
Yeah.
You literally tell me a motorcycle is safer than these little tiny cars. No. You know what's actually happening? I'll say it before I forget. These big auto manufacturers don't want to have to compete against those things. You know how much cheaper those things are to produce? How much easier they are to produce when you don't have to comply with all those safety and emission standards, or what? They're probably fine on emissions. They're so tiny, got little motors in them. All those safety standards, that's expensive stuff you got to go through to comply with all the Transportation Safety Board mess they got to put you through. They don't want to compete against that stuff.
That's why they're the ones who ask for all the regulations.
They love these regulations.
Yeah, it makes it more expensive. It's harder for competition to enter the market.
Some startup company can't come in and comply with the safety regulations that exist right now without having like billions of dollars in startup money to get going. This goes on to say, but the kind of changes that President Trump appeared to request during the press conference are focused on broader federal approval to manufacture these pint-sized models. If Sean Duffy, that's Transportation Secretary, is actually willing to bend, alter, or even completely rewrite the federal motor vehicle safety standards laid out by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. We should just get rid of both of those things because their titles are way too long. The kind of federal standards at play here are mundane on paper, but critically important to automakers around the globe. We're talking about dimensions for minimum front end width requirements. Like there's the front end of your vehicle got to be a certain amount wide. You must be this wide to drive. That's what they say. Or the distance across a seat cushion. Now, I mean, that's up to them.
That's what I love most about my truck, by the way. It's got a big, nice, wide seat.
You know, if they want to manufacture cars that half of America can't fit in, that's fine. You know, that's on them.
Here, put a motorcycle seat in there.
You just get in there like straddling it.
And instead of steering wheel, we got motorcycle handlebars. And then just have a car around it.
These things are basically golf carts that are enclosed. Yeah. Is pretty much what they are. But also about the angle of a hood as it relates to striking a pedestrian. Okay? I'm pretty sure the pedestrian could take these things. And the sturdiness of a crumple zone in a crash. And if you've, like they go on the say, like you ever see one of these things crash, it's not good. When you think about something pancaking, this is very pancakey. Okay, so there's a few things they'd have to do.
If you ever get one, I wouldn't recommend driving it on the interstate or nothing.
A few things they have to do to be able to get these tiny cars, and I hope Trump does every single one of them. The first would be for Congress to update the National Traffic and Motor Vehicle Safety Act, which is like that you're waiting on Congress to do something. So, all right, strike that. That's not going to happen. Alternatively, the NHTSA officials could update the FMVSS with new widely applicable rules that allow for significantly less safe vehicles to be manufactured, or new special rules written to apply exclusively to these tiny vehicles. However, DOT officials would be required to post a notice of proposed rulemaking for these changes, allowing a variety of stakeholders, public, industry, and expert to comment in a mandatory process that can take years. Finally, these manufacturers could apply for a limited and temporary exemption from federal standards, but such exemptions only allow for U.S. manufacturers and have a hard cap at 2,500 units. So they're not going to do it because that's not a sustainable business.
What? This is also nuts to me. You're telling me that the people can't just make a product and sell it to you if you want it.
Nope.
It's so wild. This is what's so wild. You know what? If there was something out there that was killing a bunch of people would stop buying it.
Yeah.
That's just how that works.
Or you just, you take the risk. I think the motorcycle thing is a good example here. Motorcycles are dangerous. If you get in a disagreement between your motorcycle and a semi-truck, it's really bad, okay? Really getting a disagreement with your motorcycle and any other vehicle, it's not good.
You get a disagreement between motorcycle and grass clippings.
It's not good.
That have been placed on the highway by your asshole neighbor who doesn't understand, or not even neighbor, just somebody in your community who doesn't understand the grass clipping should go inward.
Yeah.
Not out in the road. And then that turns into like a sheet of ice basically for a motorcycle. Mm-hmm. And you go down with it.
Or if you're going down the interstate and there's a monkey in front of you, throws a banana peel out the window, and
you don't avoid it.
You go flipping and just spin it around a bunch of times.
You get ran over by a semi-truck.
Yeah, it's not good. So anyway, the point is, sorry, if you want to get one of these cheaper vehicles, you ought to be able to get one, but you're not allowed to do it. They would be way cheaper, and they would create downward pressure on the whole car market because people would have a cheaper alternative.
Because what lowers prices?
More competition. Yeah, that would be good. But
amen and a woman.
Now the people who run these companies, they're going to be super excited about this and be like, yeah, we're going to be able to. That's going to be good. We're going to be able to manufacture some cars. They're not going to be like these. And by the way, they're going to help write the standards if they are going to change any standards. They're still going to make them difficult to comply with. And they're going to write them to where they can immediately comply with them. And other companies would need a decade to be able to comply with them. And that's just the way it's going to happen. Okay. Your government, through the chicken tax and ridiculous vehicle safety standards, which, by the way, you would just take care of by your insurance company charging a higher interest rate to insure you against bodily injury or whatever in your vehicle, then you'd have to make that determination. They would help you make that determination because, they got to decide whether or not they're going to pay some of your bills. And they are making all these things more expensive. I think Trump is noticing that. Hopefully Sean Duffy's noticing that. Lee Zeldin's been good at that stuff so far. These are the kind of things that they got to keep working on because through all of these regulations, we're paying a whole lot more than we need to be. And and
it's not freedom.
No, it's not at all.
It's not freedom. And then this all has domino effects. You think about this happens in like every industry we're in, and then money's not being invested in things that are going to be the most productive, and it has there's so many downstream effects. It starts to get really boring economically, and people are just like,
yeah.
They're like, why is my car so expensive?
Yeah, this show's boring right now. We ought to be talking about the Jews or something. I'm not sure you're supposed to talk about today, but something like that.
We should be talking about how Tim Pool's going to assassinate Candace Owens.
Exactly. That gets some clicks, man.
Yeah. In French. He's going to assassinate her in French.
He's the French assassin. Yes. We have proof. We've uncovered it here on GML. I got an anonymous tip from someone. I'm going to tell you what they said.
From a concrete source.
Yeah, concrete.
Source made of
someone
concrete.
I trust. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow, yeah. Let's go home.
All right, y'all. If you enjoyed this riveting episode, then share it around. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Rate a review.
A raving review.
A raving review. Apple Podcasts and Spotify. By the way, that helps. I went and looked, and we actually have quite a few reviews, and you just need to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Keep it going. Tell your friends to leave us that rating and review. That helps in the algorithms. I've been seeing some messages you guys have been sending us. Some of you, this is your top podcast for the year in your Spotify Wrapped. And so that's pretty nice. Thank you for that. Thank you for listening. We really do appreciate it. Nate and I, obviously this is a passion project, but it's also something we believe in. And, it makes a little bit of money, but if you guys share it around, it could make more, and more money would lead to more liberty, and the thing.
Yes.
So we just we appreciate that you guys support us. It really actually means a lot, and the Fed Haters Club especially supports us in more ways than one, and it means a lot to me. I can't speak for Nate, but
it puts a lot of pressure on me, honestly. I could take it or leave it.
Wow. And that's why he needs your praises, so he doesn't go off the deep end.
If I could go back and do this whole thing anonymously, I think I would have done that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I was trying to say is share it around and visit the links in the show notes to support the sponsors that support this show, and sign up for the Fed Haters Club, where you can get more value out of your life. There's a lot of tea being spilt in the Fed Haters Club. It's hot.
Oh, we had a nice little GML tea party.
Tea is hot, and it's only happening in the Fed Haters Club, and you're missing out. You're missing out if you're not part of it. Sign up, joingml.com. That's joingml.com. Do all those things or don't. I don't really care. Nate does if you do. We'll be back again tomorrow. Hope you have a good day and a good morning, Liberty.